gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's June the 22nd, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined today by Izubee Charles and Stephen Wagner as we discuss the news of the day. And maybe I should call it the news of today, the news of tomorrow, the news of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, guys, because there is going to be a lot of recruiting action at the U. We are going to be covering it every step of the way. So you guys make sure you stay tuned to CaneSport.com through the weekend. And I'll just say it up front before we get started this morning. If you like this channel, if you like this show, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube. And more than anything, please, 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 if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come on over and join our community, join our site. It means a lot to us to be able to help you enhance your fan experience every single day. And that begins this morning with some conversation of a big event that's going to be taking place on campus today, and that is the Legends Camp. You used to know it as the Paradise Camp. It has been renamed over the last few years, the Legends Camp. Guys, Legends, Paradise, they can call this thing whatever they want, okay? But it looks a little bit different this year. In the past, it would be heavy recruits from the current recruiting cycle. Well, this year, with all these recruits taking so many visits in the month of June, you're looking primarily at 2025 recruits that are going to be at the U today, sprinkled with some 2026, a handful of 2024 recruits, including a quarterback from the Jacksonville area by the name of Trevor Jackson, who suddenly has come onto the Miami scene and at least is getting a look from the coaches. They're at least checking him out. They're still all in with Judd Anderson, but Trevor Jackson is coming to the Legends Camp today, and he will work out and participate in drills with the other athletes, and Miami coaches will get to watch him. Will that result in an offer? We have no idea yet. One thing we do know is that Miami is all about Anderson. So we will see where that goes. But guys, 2025 kids, a lot of decent names. We'll talk about a few of them that we know of in a moment. But this Legends Camp today, before the official visit weekend that starts Friday, is really an opportunity for the Miami staff to work ahead on the next recruiting cycle, the 2025 cycle, and introduce all these kids, many of them locals, to the legend of Miami football, with so many of the big name guys that are coming back, and just a few names that I've been able to confirm are coming. Andre Johnson, Warren Sapp, Clinton Portis, Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta, John Beeson, Lamar Thomas. This is going to be a star-studded group that will be out at the U today, just participating, mingling with these young recruits and giving them a little bit of the Miami flavor. So, Izubee, I'll start with you. How big of an impact do you see coming out to a Legends Camp at Miami and being exposed to the legacy of Miami football in this way can have in jump-starting the 2025 recruiting cycle?
Yeah, I think it's huge. This is gonna be my second my second time covering the Legends Camp, and from a reporter aspect, I'll start with that. I remember just walking around campus and seeing Michael Irvin come up and talk to you, and then just things like that. So I can't imagine for these kids seeing players that they know about, that they grew up watching, that they see in the rafters in person, and saying, hey, maybe I can come back one day and be one of the legends at this Legends Camp. But it's a very unique opportunity, and I feel like Miami's doing a great job by broadcasting and just putting this out as a huge camp where all their grades come back, and you not only can show yourself to us, but show yourself to Hall of Famers, NFL pros, NFL All-Stars, and things like that. So I really love the idea of the Legends Camp. I love how Miami brings back all the greats, and it's also a good opportunity to put yourself on the map, even if you're obviously we have some well-known guys, but some unknown guys coming into playing at the top competition from the 2024 class and on. So really excited to get out after later this morning.
Yeah, I mentioned the format change, and Stephen, I'm not sure that it really matters whether it's 2024 kids out there, 2025 kids out there. Just this opportunity is one that not many programs have. Like, everybody's got alumni and former players, but not many schools have the type of list that Miami has. Impactful names, and some of them, played, quite frankly, while some of these 2025 recruits were in diapers. But I still think, like, when you talk about a Warren Sapp, for example, and you could tell a quarterback that you are being watched by Gino Torretta, who won the Heisman Trophy. I still think that it has to resonate with these guys quite a bit.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, if you don't know who some of these players are, like Torretta, for example, all you need to know about him is that he won the Heisman. Like, you say that, and that's going to gain you instant street credibility. Andre Johnson, superstar on Miami's 2001 national championship team. Warren Sapp, an elite defensive lineman and an absolute game changer in the trenches. Just seeing this level of talent overall, I think is something, I should say, just seeing this level of talent overall, being willing to come back and interact with the next group of recruits, being willing to be this involved with their alma mater. I mean, this has to be something that these kids are going to find attractive whenever they're looking at different prospective schools. I mean, there's not a lot of schools that have this list of alumni and Heisman winners and All-Americans and national champions and first-round NFL draft picks and NFL Hall of Famers and future NFL stars, all-pro guys, stuff like that. So that's one thing. And then another thing is not that many schools have this level or have this list of elite athletes that are willing to come back and continue to interact with the program and be around the program and really have the opportunity to, in their own way, make their own little recruiting pitch to the next batch of elite recruits. Because, these kids, Michael Irvin knows exactly how important it is for elite talent to come to Miami. He knows how big of a deal it is for South Florida talent to stay home. So do guys like Warren Sapp. So do guys like Andre Johnson. Everyone knows what the U can be whenever Miami is recruiting at the level that we all know that Miami is capable of recruiting at. And certainly the level that Mario Cristobal has recruited at through his first year and a half ish in Coral Gables or whatever he's at right now. So I think that there has to be a lot of excitement, if nothing else, for these kids than the idea that, yeah, man, I'm going to get to go work out in front of Andre Johnson. Who cares if I play linebacker? Andre Johnson is going to be watching me. Or who cares if I'm a wide receiver? Warren Sapp's going to have his eyes on me. That kind of thing. So I do think that that's definitely a pretty cool aspect.
I just look at the reaction that Izubee had. Where, he mentioned it himself last year. It's still a year later. Izubee remembers Michael Irvin walking up to talk to us. And so imagine, Michael Irvin played long before Izubee was born. Okay, but he knows who Michael Irvin is, and it resonates with him as a journalist that's now covering the program. You mentioned 2001, an Andre Johnson who's coming, and let's talk about that here first. Yeah, 2001. Izubee, where were you in 2001? Let's think here.
Running around Fort Myers in some diapers.
In diapers, right?
Yeah.
You too, Stephen, right? But you know that Andre Johnson was the man. Andre Johnson helped Miami win the national title in 2001. Andre Johnson had a long, illustrious career in the National Football League. You guys know this, okay? So theoretically, these young high school recruits will know that too. And if they didn't know it, they would be told it. And being around these legends can only help Miami recruiting. So we're looking forward to Legends Camp today. We will bring you a bunch of coverage from down there. We'll have some interviews with some of the alumni. We'll have interviews with some of the prospects. Some of the guys that have told us they're coming and that we've heard are coming, in addition to that quarterback from Jacksonville, Trevor Jackson. You got a couple big-time defensive backs from Booker T. Washington, who are in the 2025 class, Ben Hanks Jr. and Antonio Branch. Chaminade's great linebacker, Chris Ewald, he's going to be out there. Safety from Belen, Bryce Fitzgerald. Carter Smith, quarterback from Fort Myers. It goes on and on and on. And you've got a couple 26 guys from American Heritage, actually, quarterback Deion Bell and Malachi Toney, the wide receiver. So there's many more going to be out there. Probably at least 50 recruits, I would think, are going to be at Legends Camp today. So we will have tons of coverage for you as the day goes forward. Make sure you stay tuned at CaneSport.com for all of that. All right, let me transition now to the weekend, guys, because it's a big recruiting weekend for the Canes. And a lot of the commitments are coming in for the weekend. The biggest recruit in the class, Jeremiah Smith, he's an Ohio State commit still, but he will be spending the next few days at the U. I believe his visit might start today, actually, which would give him a chance to go out to Legends Camp and hang out and see Andre Johnson and some of those guys possibly. So we'll see if we see Jeremiah out there today. But he'll be on this official visit weekend. Caleb Odom, 4-star tight end from Carrollton, Georgia. He'll be in this weekend. He recently told CaneSport that the fact that Miami is getting his final official visit here of the month is going to help the Canes in recruiting. Marquise Lightfoot, a 4-star edge from Chicago. He'll be in this weekend, along with others. Jalen Haywood, a 4-star safety from Rockledge. Azende Afua, a 4-star inside linebacker from the Seattle, Washington area. Chance Robinson, the committed receiver at St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. He's having his official visit this weekend. And that's significant because Florida is making a big push for Chance Robinson, and Miami needs to ward off the Gators. That I would think should happen this weekend, but we'll see how that goes. Zay Mincy, a 4-star safety from Daytona Beach. He will be out there along with Chris Cole, 4-star linebacker from Salem, Virginia. Artavius Jones, a 4-star defensive lineman from Blountstown, Florida. And Kendall Jackson, a 4-star defensive lineman from Gainesville, Buchholz. Ja'Cory Barney, a wide receiver from Miami Palmetto that the Canes have absolutely turned up the furnace. I'm not even going to say the heat. I'm going to say they've turned up the furnace on Ja'Cory Barney. There's a great chance that they get a commitment from him this weekend. I believe Ricky Knight, the cornerback from the Benjamin School, he's supposed to be there. Miami is in a tough battle there with Florida State, and there have been some scuttlebutt recently that Ricky Knight is on the cusp of committing to Florida State. So Miami will get a major chance this weekend to make an impression on him. Rydarius Morgan, a 3-star safety from Alabama, will be out there, as will Isaiah Thomas, a 3-star safety from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He will be out there as well. And Miami commit Dylan Day. Jesus, list just goes on and on. 3-star safety from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Zuri Madison, a 3-star offensive lineman from Lexington, Kentucky. Juan Manea, a 3-star offensive lineman who's a Miami commit from Paramus, New Jersey. Good-looking offensive lineman, by the way. Judd Anderson, that quarterback I talked about, he'll be there this weekend. Abram Murray, the committed kicker, is going to be there, as well as Romanus O.J. Frederic, an unranked cornerback from Deerfield Beach, St. Thomas Aquinas. The Canes are checking him out as well. Guys, I'm out of breath. There's too many guys visiting this weekend. I don't know what the heck we're going to do this on Sunday trying to cover all these guys. I hope you guys, eat your Wheaties in the build-up to Sunday. Steven, let's go to you. How big of a weekend is this for the Hurricanes with all of those key prospects coming in?
Yeah, it really is hard to start whenever you look at this list. I mean, I think they're topping out at 20 official visitors this weekend. So this is by far the biggest recruiting weekend that Miami's had, or the biggest official visit weekend that Miami has had in terms of the raw numbers of talent that they're going to have on campus. And you can tell that this is a weekend that Miami expects some things to happen. 6 of their commits, all of whom committed all of whom committed to the Canes before the month of June. All of them are going to go ahead and visit Miami officially this weekend. A lot of these guys have already shut their recruitment down. When you think of guys like Judd Anderson, Juan Minaya, Dylan Day, Isaiah Thomas, they've all gone ahead and shut their recruitment down. And what this tells me in what Miami getting all of these commits to campus alongside all of these other top targets really tells me is Miami wants some things to happen. They're hoping that being able to get these top targets around all of these Miami commits is going to be something that's going ahead and convince these guys to just finally go ahead and pull the trigger. Miami's felt like they've been close with some of these guys for a little while. A lot of these guys have been trending toward Miami in the RPM, and there's kind of been signs that Miami might be close to sealing the deal with a few prospects who are going to be visiting this weekend. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised at all if we see some more commits this weekend, or maybe even some more silent pledges over the weekend who come in and go ahead and make their official announcement on Monday. So I think that this is going to be a really, really big weekend, just in terms of, I think we can all expect some things to maybe start happening in Coral Gables. I think it's very, very fair for us to assume that some pieces are definitely going to start moving this weekend.
Now, some people have been a little concerned about the fact that Miami hasn't gotten more high-profile commitments to this point, and I felt that is not a legit concern just because of the way that recruiting is now. The minute you told kids they could take unlimited numbers of visits, that increased the likelihood that you wouldn't be seeing a lot of kids commit early. They want to travel. They want to be wined and dined. But that's all coming to an end after this weekend. Izubee, Steven thinks we're going to start seeing commits. I do too. What are your thoughts on that issue?
Yeah, I think so too. I think one guy that you mentioned, Ja'Cory Barney, is a guy I would put on commit watch as well. After talking to him the past 2 or 3 weeks, he's telling me Miami's all in on him. His parents are finally seeing that after kind of not being upset, but kind of saying, hey, maybe Miami will realize their talent down the road. But now he's ready to show his parents, say, hey, Miami's all in on me now. And I really do think he's a kid that obviously may pull the trigger after this weekend or, during this weekend festivities. He says Miami's at the top of his list now. He said Miami would have been at the top of his list if they had recruited him like this the whole entire time. So definitely he's one guy I'm, keeping a close eye on. And then Chris Cole, I know how you just mentioned, how people are concerned about Miami's recruits, being low ranked. Chris Cole is a guy when Miami offered him, I believe he was in the 900s, a 3-star guy, kind of relatively unknown. Throughout the spring, I think he's a top 150 guy now, 4-star prospect. So Miami's doing a great job evaluating these players. Obviously, Chris Cole is an unknown prospect, and now he's a high 4-star. It's like, okay, what other prospects in Miami's 2024 class are going to be like this? I spoke with Isaiah Thomas, who kind of talked to me about that too, heading into this weekend. He says, I know people are saying, hey, Miami has a bunch of 3-stars, but just wait till the end of the year. He believes they're going to be a bunch of 4-stars, a bunch of top guys, and finish with the top 10 class. But overall, I think Miami potentially could land a few commitments. I'd probably say Ja'Cory Barney or maybe even a Chris Cole. We know that connection he has with Miami. So really, really excited to see, what comes out of this weekend.
Yeah, and these guys like a Barney, for example, who really wants to be at Miami. He wants to be at Miami. There's no reason to screw around. I mean, it's the end of the visit season now. Make your commitment, solidify your spot. And I agree that that's probably something that we'll see this weekend. We've been previewing all these visits for you guys over the last couple of days, and we continue this morning with several more. We've got a story on the website with Juan Minaya. He makes his return to Coral Gables this weekend for his official visit. He is already a commitment. We mentioned the quarterback from Gray, Georgia, Judd Anderson. He will be making his official visit. This kid has been a beast on the recruiting trail for Miami, recruiting some of these other kids. Now he gets a chance to do a lot of that in person. We got a story on the website today with Frederick Douglass. He's a 3-star offensive lineman. He has Miami in his top 3. We preview his official visit. Ricky Knight, the aforementioned cornerback from the Palm Beach Gardens Benjamin School. We preview his visit. And, like I said, this one is a knockdown, drag-out battle between Miami and Florida State. So you can get a little idea of what he's thinking right now. We've got a story on the website on Isaiah Thomas, who Izubee just mentioned. He's a 3-star safety from Clearwater. He's excited to be coming in this weekend, tells us where things stand heading into the visit. We have an official visit preview from Gainesville Buckholtz defensive lineman Kendall Jackson. He'll, as I said, be on his official visit this weekend. Canes have some work to do there, but you can get the insight on it from that story this morning. Guys, to sum it up, Stephen, I'll go back to you. Talking to all these kids that are coming in for their official visits this weekend and getting a feel for what's on their mind. The one thing that I felt was clear is that Miami has done a good job recruiting these guys, and they are looking forward to being in Coral Gables.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Even with some of these prospects who maybe aren't leaning so heavily toward Miami right now, I do think it's also very important for Miami that they're going to get the final official visit before a lot of these guys commit. Ricky Knight is really the first one that comes to my mind. Florida State and Miami have really been in a recruiting battle for him basically in all of 2023. And Miami's going to have a chance to have the last say. He got out to Florida State earlier this month, and he said, they really impressed him, and he's making his pros and cons lists, he's making his pros and cons list of every school that he gets out to. He's going to get down to Miami this weekend, and you best believe that Miami is going to put their best foot forward. And I think it's going to be really, really important that Miami gets this final official visit with him, especially considering that he's planning on committing during that first week of July. And then with Kendall Jackson, right now he's leaning probably a little bit more toward Florida and Kentucky, but Miami has stuck around in the picture. Miami's defensive staff has kind of kept them around. And if the Hurricanes can do a good job on this weekend's official visit, I wouldn't be very surprised if all of a sudden we see Jackson's name shoot up, or if we see Miami shoot up a little bit on Jackson's radar. So I really think it comes down to the timing of this official visit date more than anything. Izubee mentioned this earlier, Caleb Odom, blue chip tight end, number 4 tight end in the class, really massive kid who I think there's a lot of reason to have a lot of excitement about. I think he's going to be a really, really good football player. I think Alabama currently leads for him on the recruiting prediction machine. But like he told Izubee, it's going to be important that Miami's getting this last official visit for him of the summer. Momentum really does matter with these kids, and so I think it is going to be of the utmost importance that Miami's able to grab momentum and run with it here as we get ready to head into the July dead period.
All right, and today is a big day for another reason, and that is that tonight is the NBA draft. And yeah, look at him. Look at him. He's all excited. Stephen grew up in San Antonio, if you guys didn't know this. And the Spurs got the first pick of the draft and are in line to take some freak by the name of Victor Wembanyama. I hope I said that right, Stephen. And anybody from San Antonio, anybody with a connection to the Spurs is fired up because they have just hit the lottery for being horrendous. And
the system works. Yeah. Hallelujah. The system works. If you suck hard enough, we'll reward you. It works.
Well, they're saying this guy is like,
it worked for David Robinson, and it's working now too.
Well, they say this guy is like going to be like as impactful as maybe LeBron. So if that ends up being the case, then obviously it's a win-win. I can't promise you how many more years we'll be able to keep Steven here in South Florida. He will have the urge to go back home to San Antonio just so he can go to the basketball games. But we'll do the best we can on that front. Might need an assist from you ladies out there on, what is it? Is it Tinder or what's the big app that everyone's on these days? Whatever. I'm not up on my dating apps, but listen, you ladies out there that are on dating apps, make sure you swipe. What is it? Right? Or it's swipe right, right? Make sure you swipe right if you see Steven's mug on there, we need to keep him in South Florida and make sure he does not go back to San Antonio. And you can play a big part in that, ladies. But listen, the NBA draft is significant for a couple Miami Hurricanes as well. That is Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller. And those two guys have a shot to get drafted in the second round. They're not going to be first-round draft picks, but they both have a shot. They've done a good job in the camp workouts and in the individual workouts with NBA teams. Those guys have a shot to get drafted in the second round. Izubee, you covered a ton of basketball this year. You've watched a lot of Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong. In your eyes, are they NBA players?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, like you mentioned, they're not first-round draft picks, but I do see them having obviously a long career in the NBA just because their playing styles. I'll first start off with Jordan Miller, 6'7" wing that can shoot the ball, that can rebound, that can handle the rock. He could be a great addition to any NBA team coming off the bench, a 6'7" guy that, like I said, can score the basket and can make plays and get rebounds as well. And with Isaiah Wong, obviously at that 2 position, just an elite scorer, really upped his three-point percentage this year and showed that he can shoot the 3 ball at a high level, which was something that he wanted to improve this year. And a guy that can get to the basket and make plays for you. And one thing I really do love about Isaiah Wong covering this year is his demeanor. He's always calm. He's always collective. He's never letting any moment get too big for him, and that's something I really love about him. But I really do see these guys hopefully get drafted, I would say, between the 40 and 60 range in that second round to, a team that maybe spend a couple years in the G League on a 2-way contract. But I do see Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller having great careers in the NBA down the road.
All right, so big night for those guys, and we wish them the best. All right, that's going to do it for this morning for Good Morning CaneSport. We got to get out to campus and cover that Legends Camp. Guys, do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep, okay? I'll even buy breakfast. We'll pick out a place, and because we got to make sure that you guys are ripe and ready for this big Legends Camp coming up today. Like I said, if you like this show, like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms that YouTube grow our audience. And yes, become a subscriber to CaneSport.com if you have not already. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every single day. Today, it just happens to be a tough assignment of going out and hanging out with the legends of Miami football. But we will be sharing that with you guys on the website. For Izubee Charles and Stephen Wagner, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.